And we're back.
And we're back. Welcome to the cavalry.
You guys don't play a trumpet there? That would be so perfect with the cavalry and then a trumpet comes.
That'd be too cliche. That'd be too
What?
cliche.
This is like you guys are like 100 episodes in and I'm coming up with ideas you should have already had.
We're not big idea guys. We're more just grind it out, do it the same way, expect different results sort of guys.
I know you both well, and I agree.
Well, let's introduce our guest, which we often forget to do.
He's roasting us, much like his hobby.
Yeah.
I
like that. See, those are the kind of jokes you need to be making on this show. I like it.
So, Dave, if you need, I'll introduce Dave as. I'll tell you this story. If Dave Williamson did not help me move, if he did not help me pack up what are those things called again?
That was a day and a half, bro.
Trucks.
It was a pod. It was a pod.
The pod. It would have taken us 3 trips instead of 1.
Well, yeah, that's a good jumping off point.
Yeah, let's start there.
First of all, I felt like I had to hold Johnny's hand the whole time he lived in L.A.
Dave helped me move out of L.A.
I was so excited when Johnny moved to L.A. I really wanted him to love it here and be in the city as well. Well, my buddy lives in town. And I would always tell him, like, hey, man, meet me at the Improv. Let's hang out and grab a beer tonight. And then he'd get there, like, an hour before me or 30 minutes before me, and he'd text me and be like, hey, I'm just going to wait out on the sidewalk until you get here. I go, you're a comic. You're allowed to just walk in. And he's like, no, I don't. Johnny's like so nice. He's like, no, I don't want the door guy to feel awkward or not let me in. I go, that door guy is someone who started doing comedy last week. That's why he's a door guy. He wants to be nice to comedians. And that's it. Like, just go up and say, I'm a comedian. And then Johnny's like, well, what should I say to him? Say, I've been on Letterman. That's all you have to say. I go, Johnny, walk up to him, look him in the face, and said, I've been on TV. Can I come inside and buy one of your beers? So
that's the point, too.
Talk about moving, not me being a big pussy outside of comedy.
No, now we're going to talk about how you're a pussy when you move. So Johnny, when he's moving, he disappoints me by calling and saying, I'm leaving. And I'm like, all right, you got to do what's right for your family, what's right for you in life. Not that I'm not disappointed. I'll be a good enough friend that I'll still come help you move away, even though I don't support it. Mm-hmm. And so Johnny had bought one of those pods, which was an awesome idea. Good start.
Yeah.
And plus, I only had like 2 hours to help him move because I had to be at practice for the team I coach or somewhere. I don't know. So I'm like, all right, man, I can help you for like 2 hours. So me and Dave Yates, and there might have been one other guy there, we show up to help. And Johnny's apartment was really far from where the pod was. It was the closest they could get it, but it's an apartment complex, You can't like put it right outside the apartment. So it was already going to be an undertaking to move all the stuff from the apartment all the way out to the pod. So you want to do it in as few trips as possible. And Johnny had already started moving a bunch of the stuff out there. But the way that he blamed his wife for this, by the way. The way that things were packed.
Our listeners are not surprised.
Yeah, they're familiar with how this works.
The way that things were packed it was like a box, like a big box, and then there was like 2 pairs of shoes in it, and that was like the only thing in that box. So it's like all your stuff's not gonna fit in this pod if you only fill the boxes like a quarter of the way up. You got to fill them up to the brim, and then I still don't know if we're gonna have enough space for everything in this pod. So we had 2 hours to figure it out. I went into like Coach Dave leadership mode. I was like, all right, Dave Yates, you go in the house.
You go left. Johnny, you go right.
Yeah. I was
I'll
like, Johnny, you go stop your wife from half packing these boxes and just start packing them all to the brim. I'm going to repack everything that's already out here. And then we're all together going to Tetris this stuff into this pod. And I can't even imagine. I don't know if I've even ever asked you what it was like unpacking it, because we were like,
it was hilarious.
We were shoving like silverware into shoes.
Yeah, we were like pulling. She's like pulling out her underwear drawer. There's a sandwich in here. What the hell?
You guys must have been finding stuff like 2 years later. Like there's like one of the kids' pacifier we've been looking for 2 years was inside of a flower vase. Like we were just shoving stuff and stuff.
But it worked, and it was like
the
perfect fit. Yeah,
we got you there.
It was great.
Well,
and then Johnny is such a nice guy. I'm a man, so I always have tie straps in my Jeep. And so Johnny
wait. You said that in a way that Johnny is not a man.
I mean, I'm just you interpret however you want.
Okay.
I'm just saying I thought most men have tie straps somewhere in their life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so when we were stacking everything up, Johnny's
I've
like,
got some string in my Prius. We can
yeah,
relate.
string, whatever works.
Yeah.
So I went and got those tie straps out of my Jeep, and I just buckled down all of his stuff so it wouldn't fall all over the place. And then like a month later in the mail, Johnny mailed me a brand new set of tie straps. I was like, you don't have to do that, man.
Oh, what a guy.
I am such a nice guy.
You really are, Johnny Beaner.
Oh, you are.
But it's great to see you guys, man. I miss both of you.
Oh, I know. Miss you too, buddy. I love what great coming out of the gate with good Johnny stories. I love that. Johnny, parallel lives again on the apprehension of just walking into comedy clubs like you own the place. That is very difficult for me too. But also, Dave, you put it perfectly. It's like, hey, they'll let you in and let you buy a beer at full price.
Yeah, they want customers.
They're generous. They're generous enough to let you into the establishment and pay $9 for a draft beer.
Yeah, look, I know there are places where that feels like funny, and you don't want to be like you never want to be that guy who's just on the road somewhere and isn't comfortable when you're like, oh, I'm a comic,
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, and if it's your home
I did
club,
live in LA.
Yeah. If you're going to be living in LA, you got to get comfortable with just doing that, man. Especially, it's like, I get it if you're like an open micer, you don't feel comfortable calling yourself a comic yet, but you're like, at that time, you had a major TV credit and you're touring the country. Like, you should have been very comfortable being like, I'm a comic, move out of the way.
I was in Los Angeles a few weeks ago, and I did a set at the Improv, and still didn't feel comfortable there at any point. Even though when your name is on the list, you're like, I go check in, and then the guy's like, oh yeah, and also get out of the way. You're blocking the
Yeah,
because they put the list in the hallway, so it's like you have to stand there and look, at the small print, and then they're like, okay, get out of the way. There's customers coming, whatever. And then Andy Hendrickson was meeting me there, and he had the same thing. He's like, can you tell them I'm coming? Like, I feel like some of that has the Improv now. It's less of a hangout maybe than it used to be. There's more apprehension around it, but
yeah. Well, I mean, the pandemic has definitely changed the rules and changed the vibe of being able to just hang somewhere. And also,
that's true.
There's just been a lot of turnover. So people, if you haven't showed your face in a while, then you don't feel as confident that people are going to recognize you and be cool with you being there. And yeah, I mean, it's been 2 years, and it's just everyone's still not, doesn't have their footing yet in the new world.
Yeah.
But I've never been the guy who's felt uncomfortable if I could just talk to someone. I'm always been that guy who's like, hey, I'm Dave. Sometimes I do spots. Or hey, is it cool if I hang out here? Like, I'm never like worried about getting a no. It's just not in my personality. But I'll tell you, the time I do get kind of skittish is parking. Like, I don't care if I was the most rich and famous comic on earth, I would never feel comfortable pulling into that parking lot of the Comedy Store. I will just still feel like I'm gonna get turned down, and I'm not in a position where I could talk to the guy, and now I'm blocking traffic. So I'll just park down the street and walk down here. Don't worry about it.
I would do that, or at like auditions or anything. Like, even if you're supposed to be there, or like if you ever had a meeting at some sort of agency or management company, I would be like, that parking lot is clearly not for me. I would just park on the street and walk on every time.
Well, that was what was so cool about the Comedy and Magic Club, is that you could always count on them actually having your name on the list.
Yeah, they would be explicit in telling you can park up here.
Yeah,
in a on the beach, like that is very necessary because parking is impossible.
It's hard to find parking in Hermosa Beach for sure.
Yeah.
That place was always like, I always felt like a schlub, like I should know them. I'd like pull up and it'd be someone I didn't know, and they'd be like, hey, Johnny, we got your spot. How's your daughter Phoebe? I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
Did you get
Who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
How do you know my daughters?
Are they gonna reopen? Do you know anything?
I mean, I don't know what's common knowledge and not, but they they're trying to sell it, but they don't want to sell it just to sell it. They were looking for the right buyers. They want someone who's going to operate it the way it's been operated, you know?
Yeah.
So that was the last I heard. It's been a while since I got an update. But also, you know, Mike Lacey is one of the greatest human beings on earth, the owner there. He's always been a little skittish with germs, I guess is a way to put it. So I'm sure opening up with even a hint of the pandemic still existing is very difficult for him to do. So yeah, they're trying to find the right.
Why doesn't Jay Leno just buy it?
1,000 people have said that. I'm sure it's been explored.
Good job, Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah, hack.
I thought you don't use hack ideas on this podcast.
Why does
How
it?
do you
Why
see
does
why
it?
I was nervous going into the improv? What if I had said that, Dave? What if I said that to the doorman?
Just walk up to him and go, "Why doesn't Jay Leno buy this joint?"
Why doesn't Jay Leno take one of his 1,000 cars and drive down here in his denim suit and buy this comedy club that he plays all the time?
Because it's not for sale.
Oh, well, there you go. That is the saddest thing about the pandemic is now Jay Leno has to routinely play flappers.
Oh man. I have a theory about
What
that.
What a fall from grace.
But I have a theory.
The greatest
about
star in the world.
that. I know.
Now he's at flappers.
Comedy and Magic Club, the Flappers. But I think that actually at first, like, he was taking pictures with every, you know, Flappers comic, you know, some that are established and are friends, but many of them people I've never heard of before and have just won a comedy contest to be at the, you know, club.
Uncle
at night
Clyde's.
Yeah. So I'm like, why? I'm like, oh, God, Jay's got to be hating, like, having to do that, because he was people. The reason why people like Comedy Magic Club is they're a little bit shielded from that, you know. But then I started thinking about it, and I go, man, I bet Leno's loving it actually, because he's such a comedy like nut, you know, and he hasn't been submersed in like any sort of environment where there's young comics in probably a very long time. So it's probably been really cool for him to meet like young comics and give advice and watch sets and, you know.
Yeah.
I think.
No, I know. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, because that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that before, but Comedy Magic Club didn't have open micers hanging around. There was no. It's all pros all the time. So it is a very different. Yeah, different environment.
I'm gonna put chaps on so I can do a good job for you guys.
Like a man.
Yeah.
Do you keep that next
You
to
gotta
your
have tie
ratchet
straps in your car at all times, and soft lips.
My big Jeep has a lot of chapstick in it, just in case.
Chapstick, little plastic toothpick flossers.
There you go.
Boy, well, Dave, it's good to see you. Do you have anything you need backup on? You know, you're familiar with the format of the show. I hope Johnny told you.
Oh, don't get me in trouble here. Do not get me in trouble.
Yeah, I subscribe, listen, rate, review.
Don't patronize us.
You better be texting me right now, Johnny.
I am aware of everything.
No, I will send Andrew screenshots of me explaining what it is.
Yeah, I don't think I got those.
Oh my God.
All right, then here. Well, then I'll do one of mine.
Johnny, you go. Well, tell him. No, explain to the.
Explain
Well,
you can
the
edit
man.
it.
The gist of it. You come up with a topic. You bring a topic to the table. That's what we do. We bring topics to the table that we get resistance on, and then in life, and then our guest and Andrew come to the table. They're our cavalry. We call it in the cavalry. They back us up. They try to back us up.
Got you.
Yeah.
Like a friend.
I could have probably really come up with a really good one if you had sent this to me in advance.
I fucking did. God.
This has happened before.
All right, you go first, Johnny, and I'll come up with one.
All right. This is one we've talked about. This.
You go first, Johnny, and I will not be listening, as I will be thinking about my own topic.
No. I'm very talented. I can multitask.
I'm trying to read it as I also look for the text exchange between me and Dave.
I'll give you
explaining.
I'll give you $100 if you find it.
Are you serious?
Whoa!
All right.
You asked me for 2 or 3 topics.
Yeah. Well, no, I explained. Why is this in our text exchange?
Ooh,
A picture of my
hairy
stomach.
abs.
You must have scrolled back far.
Maybe it was an email. I don't even see any. Okay, whatever. Anyway, want to do the Cavalry Tuesday jam? Okay, all right. I thought I sent it to you. So here's what we got. I like literally. That's literally all it is. Maybe I thought. Okay, whatever. All right. So here's how it works, Dave. So here's my topic that I need backup on. Okay.
All right, go ahead.
All right. So I think that. I'm gonna pull up my notes again. It's ridiculous. Andrew, we should have just had you go first. Here we go. All right. So the way IPAs market themselves is deceiving and horseshit. Okay? Because the IPAs are, if you look at the new IPAs, it's all like fruity. They all look like boxes of Fruit Loops. And so I would be tricked into buying, like, because I like fruity beer. I like, Blue Moon and all that, the Bartles and James type stuff. And IPAs look like a can of Orange Crush or Strawberry Crush, but then you drink it and it tastes like fucking shit. It doesn't taste like fun. It doesn't taste like pineapple. No matter what the fruit is, it doesn't taste like that. And so I think their marketing is deceitful.
So now I'm supposed to come to your rescue as the cavalry, even if I don't wholeheartedly.
No. You have to tell the truth.
Yeah, you have to try.
You
have to
try,
but if you can't
find an angle, like I'm struggling too, Dave, because I don't know. I love IPAs, so this is a tough one for me. I drink a lot of them, and I like the flavor.
IPAs,
right? See, this is where I can back you up. Is that I can see how the marketing of the citrus. They're big on citrus. There's the citrus mistress. I like a lot of them. I can think they have like that's a whole flavoring of them. And you're right, they do not taste fruity at all. There might be a little bit of like a lighter, crisper taste to the citrusy ones, but they're not.
But
they're
that
not
is
like
buried
Capri,
beneath.
Like you want
IPA.
like a sugary Capri Sun, like trash, like a 4-year-old. You want to get drunk like a sorority girl.
I think what you're looking for is a White Claw or a Zima with a Jolly Rancher in it.
Yes, that is correct.
So maybe start there on the label.
Well, don't put a picture of Gonzo on a surfboard on your fucking, on your box if it's gonna taste like a fucking.
So I'll take it a step further. I, like Andrew, love IPAs, so I rarely would be disappointed, even if it tasted different than I thought it did, because I probably would like most just hoppy IPAs. And I like hazy, and I like the fruity ones, and I like double IPAs. I love IPAs. But I will say the marketing has gotten a little out of control, and especially to the layman IPA drinker, I could see how it would be very confusing, where a lot of them look like a Kool-Aid packet when it's not. It's like a hoppy beer. So they should be very clear if it's fruity. Then the label. If the label looks like it's fruity, the beer should be fruity, right? Or if it's if it's a hoppier beer, then there should be a ton of hops on the label.
Picture. They should
here's another thing that they do. Here's another thing they do to be cute, and it makes it confusing. Is they try to cross market a lot. So they'll do like because they can't actually say Back to the Future beer, but it'll be like Future to the Back. And then an outline of Marty McFly. So they're all taking pop culture stuff and trying
Marty
to
McZipper.
Yeah, exactly. So they're doing all this pop culture stuff, but what does that have to do with the beer? Like, sometimes they have a good story behind it. Like, there actually is a brewery in my neighborhood that does a knockoff Kool-Aid beer, and they're not allowed to say it's Kool-Aid, but it's like a knockoff. And it is really, it's very fruity. It tastes like Kool-Aid, right?
So it's not an IPA.
Like, that makes sense. But there's ones that do like, tricks are for kids or whatever, and it doesn't actually taste like fruit. And it's like, now you're just trying to confuse people. So
now you're just trying to confuse Johnny Beaner.
Or Johnny Beaner.
You gotta have the letters IPA bigger than the rainbow blasting out of the cartoon strawberry, so that I know, okay, this is because I think I've learned my lesson. Now I just know, I just don't like IPAs.
Well,
It took me 2 or 3 6-packs to realize, the problem is it's an IPA. It's
Here's
not
why
that
I like
specific
IPAs.
one. Why?
Because I am through and through a beer drinker. Beer's my beverage of choice when I'm drinking alcoholic beverages.
Okay.
It's pretty fitting that I held in a burp as I was saying that.
Just because they sound like you're about to cry.
Yeah, you know what? I need a beer. Can one of my sons hear me and bring me a cold beer?
Oh.
Does that work?
I have a very big house. They might not be able to hear me. Very large house in Los Angeles.
Oh, Jesus.
No, my kitchen's like 5 feet that way. So the IPAs, drinking like Bud Lights my whole life, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it got to the point where this is going to sound like I have a problem, but it takes a lot of Bud Lights for me to get a good buzz going, you know?
Yeah.
So then I got to LA and I drank an IPA because it was like the thing when I first moved out here, and I had very little experience with them before that. And I'm like, first of all, 2 of these bad boys, and I am buzzed. But it also was a nice change of pace for my palate, just because all light beers pretty much taste the same. So the IPAs, I'm like, oh, it's got a little kick to it. It's got a little boldness. You know what I mean?
Did you like it right away when you first had them? Or did it take a little getting...
Yeah, I think I did. But also there was a couple IPAs that were very popular at the time, and my cousin was into them. So my cousin was like, oh, if you're moving to California, you got to find Pliny the Elder and Russian River, you know? And so I think the first couple IPAs I really indulged in were like higher level, really good IPAs. Maybe, it's like anything. If I had just gotten some random IPA at a dive bar, and that was my first experience, I might have been like, oh, I don't think I like IPAs. But
that's what's crazy about beer now. Like, do you remember I feel like it was not that long ago, working the road, being in some whatever little town, you go to the Applebee's, the hotel bar, the dive bar in town, whatever. And it would be Coors Light, Miller Lite, Bud Light, Stella, Guinness, and maybe like Sam Adams. And that was the tap. That was the taps everywhere, every bar in America, except for maybe like Seattle or, some bars in San Diego, whatever. But mostly that was the taps. And I swear to God, you can go to the Sizzler in Little Rock, Arkansas, and they're gonna have 6 microbrew, on tap. It's insane. It happens so fast. It happens so fast. It's amazing. It's crazy to me.
That's one of my favorite things too. As much as we travel, I got in the habit when I was on the road, just anywhere I went, I let the bartender choose, and I just go, give me a local IPA. And they're like, do you like something hazy? You want something hoppy? I go, I told the bartender, your favorite local IPA, And
listen, asshole, I said you pick.
I told you to order for the lady.
I'm a big shot. I don't live in this bumfuck town. Okay?
I don't make decisions off the clock. No, but it was
I
just
flew on a plane.
Ever heard of it?
And by plane, I mean a bus and several Ubers. No, but it's just fun to try something different, and then you find something you like, and then you're like excited to go back to that city again and try that one that you found that you liked.
Dude, I do that, but then I never remember the names. So it's like, oh, that was great, and then it's called like you said, like Russian Mistress or whatever. And then I can never remember. And then you go back and you're like, which one was? I don't know. So I'm constantly just going, give me the one that you like. I do that like every time.
You can't put those notes in your phone either. So you remember when you go back, you have like Minneapolis, Russian Mistress. And then it's like, what are you doing on the road?
I swear it's a drinking problem. I swear I have a drinking problem.
Imagine how bad you'd have to be at cheating with your wife if you disguise someone's name in your phone as Mistress.
Russian Mistress. She must have a really complicated Russian name for you just to call her. Excuse me, Russian Mistress.
You could have called her anything you wanted, but you went with Mistress. The one.
It's an IPA.
Yeah.
Well, I feel backed up. I feel backed up. See, that's great.
Okay, now I back you up too, Johnny. Whatever it was. And Dave, I'll go quick, Dave, just in case.
Okay.
I got a perfect one for you. So, because look at you, you're a big football fan. I know Auburn Tigers, the whole shebang.
Yeah.
College football, big, but also I'm sure you watched this amazing playoff weekend.
Oh, what a weekend!
Right. So the big discussion after this incredible Chiefs Bills game that even I got Johnny to watch. Johnny like never watches football, but he even watched didn't you watch like the highlights or something?
Well, yeah, you were like, tell me
That's
you're
right.
watching. I asked you some question. I texted him, and he's like, tell me you're watching this game. And I was like, what game? And he's like, oh, dear God. So then he was like, this is the greatest game in football history. So then the next day I was like, I went on YouTube, end of Bills Chiefs games, and watched it. That was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
That's probably the greatest way to watch it. Like the YouTube synopsis of that game, that's got to be like crack.
I'm going to send you some chapstick, Johnny.
Thank you.
Man up.
Yeah.
But so the big discussion, of course, afterward is the overtime rules in the NFL. So because Josh Allen didn't even have a chance to answer Patrick Mahomes, and of course both defenses are like completely gassed, so it's like a giant advantage to win this coin toss. And so what I need backup on is like everyone goes on these shows and they all have like 1,000 different theories on how to fix the overtime rule. So like, what if you got the ball back, but you had to score in the same number of plays as the offense? So there's a play counter. Or what if you there's like all these different like scenarios. I'm like, doesn't college football already have the perfect overtime rules? The Oklahoma thing? Like, why would you?
What is the college one?
So you explain it, Dave, because you're a big college football fan. But
so the current rules, which cost my Auburn Tigers
the
Iron Bowl this year.
Oh, great. So this is not going very well so far.
It does go back. It does go back and forth. They don't have a kickoff, so they both start on the same yard line over and over again, right?
Yeah, so like so you do flip a coin, but all it decides is who goes first.
Yeah.
So then it's like you get the ball at the 25-yard line and you're trying to score. You can kick a field goal, you can score a touchdown, you can go for 2, whatever you want. But whatever they do, the other team gets a chance from their 25-yard line. You got to at least match them to keep it going or outscore them to win. And if you don't, you lose. And sometimes it goes back and forth 5, 6, 7 times. And it's crazy, exciting, fun.
And
so there's no punts. There's no punts.
Because you're too close.
You either score or you don't.
Yeah. Okay. You're within.
And if you don't, and the other team has already scored, then you lose. If you don't, and then they get the fair ups, and then they do score, then they win.
And if they don't, then you keep going.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
they keep going.
If I think it's after 2 touchdowns each, then they make you go for a 2-point conversion. You can't kick an extra point. You got to go for a 2-point conversion if you score a touchdown.
To increase the variables so that it's like at least it ends at some point. So
has it ever gotten to that point?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what happened with Auburn is they were going back and forth so many times that we finally, I think we scored and then we didn't get in on the 2-point conversion. But I felt like Auburn, our quarterback was already hurt, and they got the ball first in overtime. They scored a touchdown, and then we went down and by the skin of our teeth scored a touchdown. I almost felt like, hey man, go for the 2 you either win or lose it on one play, because if we keep going back and forth, we're not going to be able to keep Alabama on the ropes. They have our quarterback was on one leg.
They should have. That's what I mean. Like, I like the strategy of that, or I like the drama of that. So at least, though, you had a chance to match whatever Alabama did, right? So it seems more fair. So my point is like, okay, I was thinking, I'm not hearing anybody else just say, like, the NFL should just adopt the college rule. Why don't they do that? And then I thought, oh, well, maybe it's because of gambling, right? Well, a lot of people gamble on college, so that can't be it, right? And then fantasy, I was thinking maybe it's because it would screw up fantasy football stats too much. But I'm like, it's very rare. Overtime games don't happen that often. And also, then that's like part of it. It's like.
All right, let's take it a step further. I think that ties in pro football are terrible. So I think that it should go to overtime and there should be a point where they just go sudden death. I heard a good one the other day. Maybe you like this one, Andrew. They would They put 10 minutes on the clock and they just do another quarter, just straight up coin flip. But you go the full 10 minutes of the quarter, and then whoever has the ball at the end of the 10 minutes gets to finish that drive that they're on, and then whatever the score is at the end of that, that's the game. But if it's tied, now you keep going until it's
Yeah.
sudden death.
I just don't know what's like. Is there anyone out there not satisfied with the college rule?
I don't think it's the greatest.
People seem to love it.
I don't know.
What do you not like about it besides
the fact that your team lost in the one time? I mean, is that it?
No, I don't like it because it's like you just line up and go. I think it needs to be as close to regular football as possible with time management, with a full drive all the way down the field. I mean, I didn't hate it the way it used to be where they would just kick it normal and then whoever scored first won. Because you at least had to work.
Oh, that was even worse because then all you needed to do was get like 2 passes. You're in field goal range and the game's over. That was horrible.
Pro football, I can't remember a time when people didn't bitch about the pro football.
I thought that's how it was.
No, now you have to score a touchdown to win. You can kick a field goal, but if you only score a field goal, the other team does have the chance to get the ball.
Yeah, I'm okay with the I'm okay with the rules now, but I do think they need to get like fair ups like college football does. Yeah, I think the college football is closer to have it right than NFL for sure.
I just think copy it. Just copy it. Do it the way they do it. It'd be fun. I don't know. I have yet to hear like the big good argument as to why they don't, but that's all I'm saying. Johnny?
Any deep thoughts, Johnny?
I don't know what the counter argument would be or is or who's making this counter argument. Right?
Okay.
I like how Johnny's in a professional podcast studio and Andrew has to go over to his friend Scott's house and set up in his closet in order to
No, I have a very again, Dave, it just shows you're not a listener or fan. Normally, I have a very professional setup, but I'm on vacation here in Palm Springs, so I'm actually outside in the casita or whatever this is.
Oh, borrowing Scott E's computer.
No, borrowing. But we've also discussed this before, but borrowing Scott E's Zoom account, who is the guy we would do virtual gigs for, but kind of are blowing off at the moment.
You should
shout out to Scott E though.
Change his name to Poop and see if he notices it in his next board meeting.
Yeah.
Good one. No, I think about you every time I go to Palm Springs. I've tried to rent Andrew's house multiple times going to Palm Springs. It just never works out.
It's a tough get. It's tough market.
Real estate tycoon over here.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll make a profit. We lose money every year, but it's good. It's fun because we get to use it sometimes, so it's good.
It's fun out there. We just went. All right, I need help. I need help from the cavalry.
Oh.
Hey,
he said it right. You said cavalry.
Did
right?
he? I thought he said Calvary. But go ahead.
I think I said cavalry, but it's right over your shoulder. I should get it right.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, grew out a full mustache for the first time ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it. It was fun. It was different. I hadn't had a mustache my whole life. Never had any facial hair my whole life. Didn't know I could grow out facial hair until I had months to do it without caring what I looked like.
Can I just interrupt real quick and ask why you're using the past tense as I'm looking at you with a mustache?
Well, this isn't a full mustache. I'm growing it back right now.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm growing it back right now. I don't want.
But the beard
because I don't want people to think that this is the mustache because then they probably would side with my.
Oh no, I've seen the mustache. Okay, but go on.
And I really enjoy it, but nobody else in my close circle of confidants does. My friends are like, dude, yeah, cool, whatever. And professionally, it was very good, right? But my wife hates kissing me with the mustache, and my kids, it just gives them something to rag on me for. And my family members went to Thanksgiving. We were just making mustache jokes the whole time. So I was like, hey, man, why does it matter to you guys? Like, people who aren't embarrassed by me love it. So are all those other people, who's the liars, my family or the other people?
A few people who are not embarrassed by me seem to love it.
Yeah, people who don't have to share my last name or that public opinions of me reflect
People who
on
have
them,
no
have
investment
nice
at all.
things to say.
Dude, I'm backing you up. I rocked the mustache, but pre-pandemic, I grew it out and kept it till about like, I don't know, what was it, 6 months ago, maybe?
Well,
And
that's the thing too. I see guys like you and Jono was way ahead of the curve on it. He had his mustache a long time ago, but it's still a rare enough thing that it helps you stand out. But there's been enough people that have been growing them lately that it's not like you're the only one. Like it's a
right,
weird thing.
it's like acceptable now.
They're normalized again, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's always nice as like a straight white dude to have like some differentiation. Like,
this business,
hey,
yeah,
diversity.
I know. No, I booked.
What's the backstory on that for Last Comic Standing?
I know. It's just a whole genre.
I come
of
from a long
white
line
guys.
of
Yeah.
guys with a mustache.
Hey guys, BLM, right? I
Big lip mustache.
yeah, there you go. I booked 2 commercials with it. I told my wife, I'm like, look, I booked 2 commercials with it, which better paying commercials than I booked ever without it, and that's during a pandemic too, booking shit. And then also I'm leaning into this barbecue brand, and I'm trying to sell a barbecue TV show, and I have a barbecue. I'm like, the mustache kind of goes with the branding these days.
I'm with you, man. I'm backing you up. I for sure will back you up on the. See, I never got any pushback from my wife. Is the one thing. I don't know if she I think she liked it. I think she likes a little scruff no matter what.
Oh.
But
she
then
probably dated a cop before.
Yeah, she's from Montana. She's always this highway patrol thing really turned her on.
Lumberjack.
But but you're so right about the stupid jokes. Like, oh my god, that's I'm happy to lose it just for that. Like to not hear the like, oh, nice porn stash and all that horse shit. Like it does get very old very fast.
Yeah, the porn thing, or the creepy guy with the van, and you're just like,
yeah,
hey, listen, I'm just here to coach your kids. Relax, okay?
I'm just a guy with a van and a creepy mustache here to coach your kids. Can we stop with the jokes, people?
Judge me on
if
what
I was a
do, not what
pedophile, would I have a bag of balls in the back? Come on.
Or like literally, would I be in a Speedo? Okay.
Yeah, come on, guys. It's part of the uniform. Get your minds out of the gutter.
So I shaved it for Halloween. My wife wanted to go as Tom and Shiv from Succession for Halloween, so I shaved it for that. And then when it was gone, I was like, okay, I'm gonna just not have it I might grow it back. I'm not saying I never grow it back, but why did you shave it?
I shaved it because I had it for a long time because I needed it. And then I didn't really have any tour dates or anything going on over Christmas time. So I did it basically as a Christmas present for my wife. So she would gift me.
Oh, how generous of you.
I wrapped my face with wrapping paper. And I was like, unwrap your gift. I made her pull it off and act surprised. Hey, smooth lips again.
Did you really do
grow
that?
it out again real quick before Mother's Day?
I should have though, shouldn't I?
Yeah, Johnny, that is genius. Just keep growing it back for her birthday or any occasion, and then you can shave it off, and that's always the gift.
Guess what you're getting this year? Your favorite. Kisses.
Well, that's what I was going to say as far as backing you up. I totally back up everything you say. I totally think, yeah, okay, you got to do, but the only pushback, the only thing that's hard is when you say your wife doesn't like it. Because if your wife's not on board, you can't, I mean, that's one person. You can't be like, hey, fuck you, take it or leave it. This is how I, you know.
I'm a barbecue man now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think she got more and more tolerant of it. And I think once it's grown out, it's a little easier, but it's like when you're in the halfway phase like this and it's like spears.
Oh yeah, they get like jabbed.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Well, what does Erin think about the beard? Because your beard's pretty full right now, Johnny. You get any?
Yeah, she prefers me with facial hair. I don't know why. I think just because
because you're handsome as hell.
I look like a fat baby when I don't have it. But yeah, she does not like when it's like short and it's coming in, and she's close, and it like jabs her. I've never seen her in a worse mood. We could have won the lottery. We're about to have celebration sex, and she's like, fuck. All right, I'm divorcing you.
Yeah.
Fuck
I'm
that
divorcing you, and I'm going to half pack off these boxes.
shit.
I'm going to fill every one of these
Oh,
boxes halfway up
I'm
with
glad-
your stuff.
I'm glad you circled back to the box topic, because let me ask. First of all, Johnny, legendary introduction of a guest. This our guest tonight has helped me move, but
Which just since you obviously don't listen, you don't know, we are known for our shitty introductions.
I was just helping someone move the other day, and I was just thinking, I wonder if I've helped more comics move to LA or move away from LA. And I was trying to think, I wonder if any of them, if I've helped them do both. I help them move here and then leave a few years later. Like,
well, Dave, you know that apartment we used to live at with me and Brandt in West Hollywood there.
Yeah, the one that you without a permit put your own wall up in it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one. It lasted a good week before they made me tear it down. So, so we would walk up to Runyon all the time because you could, it was an easy walk from our apartment, and those apartments right by Runyon, just moving trucks all the time. And me and Brandt would always walk by and go, every day, just somebody's dreams were ending. Like just some kid who moves, I'm going to live right by Runyon Canyon in West Hollywood and go hike every day. And then they'd just be
become an actor.
Going back to Ohio.
Yeah.
We'd see it every day. But the box thing. Okay, so every time I've helped someone move, it's always the opposite problem. It's not that they don't load the boxes enough. It's that they take a giant box, Costco thing, and jam it full of books
balls
to the highest. And then they're like, okay, can you help me lift it? It's like, did you have to? Like, what is the, you know what I mean? Like, this is lead. I'm dead after moving one box.
Yeah, and you can't, you have to hold it underneath, otherwise the box will break out the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. You have to carry it like a like a waiter with it. Yeah,
like a 60-pound pizza box.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving in general just sucks, man. I think that's like, every man should strive to get to a point where they can hire movers.
Yes.
I think that's one of the last bastions of disposable income, or just like like, oh man, we could save $2,000 by doing it ourselves. Everyone should strive to be just comfortable enough to where they can go, let's just hire movers.
That is the line of demarcation for successful or not successful, I think.
I'll tell you one of the jokes that still makes me laugh to this day when it just runs across my brain. Everyone's got those from their past. Is when I moved, all right, I'll tell this is a long story actually. When I moved from Miami to LA, I sold most of my shit, put whatever I couldn't sell into a storage unit, and then put my family in a 25-foot travel trailer. And we actually traveled the country for like a year and a half before landing in LA. Like, I just worked the road, right? And we kind of popped in and out of LA during that time and got our footing. So when we were finally ready to settle down, I had to at some point go back and get all my stuff that had been in storage in Miami for a long time, right? So I called those pod places that you use, Johnny, and whatever. And it was just ridiculous. It wasn't going to work for us. They were so priced high at the time and whatever. So I call this one moving company to get a quote on a pod, and the guy quotes me the price, and I go, man, it's too high. It's not going to make sense, right? And I was getting ready to hang up with him, and then he goes, hey, man, he's like, this might be unprofessional, but since you're not going to use it anyways, can I ask you something kind of personal? And I'm like, okay, 1-800 number guy. And he's like, are you a comedian? And I go, yeah. And he goes, I recognize your name and your voice. He's like, we have a FM station here. I'm based in Raleigh, North Carolina, and they play a lot of like clips. And he's like, I've heard, he started like reciting my jokes to me. And I was like, wow, all right. This doesn't happen every day.
Yeah.
And he goes, all right, listen, man. He's like, I'm not supposed to offer this because we don't make a lot of money on it, but it's going to be a way better option for you. And I'm like, I'm listening. It's like, we'll drop a crate off in front of your house, right? It's kind of like how the pods do it, but it's like an entire back of like a semi-truck size one, So he's like, you fill it up with whatever you need, whatever space you need. He goes, and then you just get charged by the square inch of the space you use because they fill the rest of it up with like paper towels or something that needs to be shipped across the country anyways. Mm-hmm. And then they unload the paper towels, and then they drop the crate at your house, and you unload it for a day or two, whatever you need. Yeah. And it was like so affordable. I go, yeah, done. So then I like filled every box up to the brim and pushed it all the way forward and took every inch I could upward, right? I used my own tie straps.
Sure.
And then
we get it. You're a man.
Yeah. So then I call when it gets here to my house and I got to unload it. I call Al Jackson and Forrest Shaw to come help me out, right? They're two of my old school Miami friends who were living in LA at the time. And all three of us, by the way, we knew each other from doing comedy in Miami when we all started out, but all three of us have had Achilles tendon tears. All three of us have ruptured our Achilles tendons in the back. So imagine the three of us moving furniture onto a steep incline hill in LA and so at one point me and Al were moving this really heavy I don't even know what to call it. It's like a
credenza.
Kind of, yeah, like an arm wall, like something you put board games and fancy vases in, kind of thing, But it's solid wood. So we're trying to move this thing, and we're just and Forrest is like sitting there with he had like a kerchief on his head, and he was like, yeah, no, you're doing good. You got to move it over, And he was just kind of like there, and then Al just goes, Forrest. He's like, if you weren't one of my oldest friends, I would think that you were the boss on Undercover Boss right now. He's like, that's how much you're contributing. And that line made me laugh so hard. So now every time I see someone when they just like seem out of place in like a role, I just think like, they're like the Undercover Boss.
I thought that's so funny. This guy offered you this special rate or way to move things for cheap, and they're not supposed to do it. I'm like, 1,000%. That's how people move drugs. Like, just like, yeah, that's exactly how you move illegal shit. Your stuff was probably next to so much cocaine.
Hey, man. I'd be cool.
Everything was dusty.
Whenever got it to LA affordably, I would have co-signed on. Well, now my problem is I built this whole you guys mentioned I'm super into barbecue and everything. I got this. I built this huge barbecue shack in my front yard, and I got all my smokers
in your front
out there.
yard.
Yeah, our yards are small here in LA. In the backyard, I have a playhouse for the kids, and basketball and a soccer goal and all that shit. And in the front yard, I put my smokers and stuff. So I kind of have a brick wall. Yeah, kind of a brick wall. It's not super tall, but it kind of is a nice barrier from the street. So I built a cool little area in the front that's like my outdoor kitchen.
Tell people about how you because it's so fun. It's been fun since I left, or the last time I saw you. The whole barbecue thing went from a hobby to now this
branding.
Like you said, your branding, lifestyle, it seems like you're doing it, pushing it so much, and you got your own sauce or rubs and all that stuff. So talk a little bit about, before we have to go, just tell people how that came to be or why, or
it's just
how you bleed it into comedy and stuff.
It's just a hobby that I didn't. I mean, I always was a guy who liked cooking a good steak, or was the guy who manned the grill flipping burgers when you'd have a cookout. But I wasn't an expert by any means. And traveling around the country, I just really fell in love. I've always been in love with eating barbecue and eating at good barbecue places. It was like a routine for me. I'd always book Houston, for example, and go work at that club every year. And it was just, even the money wasn't great, but I was so excited to go on Thursday night and ask the audience, hey, what barbecue restaurant should I try? And then they always have an opinion. And then I go eat barbecue. I'd rent a car, which ate into the profits we would be making that weekend, so I could drive around and eat barbecue. So I'd get mad because at the time it was hard to get good barbecue in LA. It's easier now, but it was really impossible back then. So I told my wife one day, I was like, fuck it, I'm teaching myself. And I started watching YouTube clips, and I went to Home Depot and bought a terrible smoker, and started reading books on it and just started practicing, really. And I really got into it as a hobby. It was really fun, and feeding my neighbors, because I was cooking like 4 or 5 times a week. You can't eat that much barbecue, right? So I was giving it away
Yeah.
and trial and error. And so as I started posting it on my Instagram, and it wasn't even good posts yet, but people were just, I think, intrigued and following along with the journey kind of. When I'd go out to the Improv to hang out with Johnny and Andrew and you know, all my buddies, and we were out sitting there talking and having a beer, instead of people asking me like the cliche, you doing a set tonight? Or you going on the road? All anybody wanted to talk to me about was barbecue. So that's when I recognized, like, oh, this is like something people want to talk about with me, and this is going to be part of my branding, whether I like it or not. So that's why I started the podcast, Meet Dave, and I just talk to barbecue guys, basically, or talk to comics about barbecue. And I've just continued to learn and get more engulfed in the culture and the community. And it's funny, we were talking about the craft beers tonight, because barbecue kind of is now where craft beers were like 10 years ago, where 1 minute it was like kind of a rare thing, and then the next minute it's just blown up. Because right now with Big Green Eggs and pellet smokers and YouTube and just so much accessibility to watch Netflix shows with these like barbecue stars on it, like now there's like weekend warriors, and there's a real like fan base of not just people who like to eat barbecue, but people who are intrigued and learning how to do it, you know? So I felt like I was right on the forefront of that. So it was a nice little wave for me to ride. Now I have a 900-pound smoker in my front yard and like 3 pellet smokers that I get as like prototypes from companies to try out. They send me so I can give them feedback, and I just cook a lot of meat. When we go on the road, when I go on the tour with Bert, I bring a little travel smoker from RecTech and I cook. You know,
I know it's so cool to see Bert Kreischer go on these like, you know, Rogan or whatever, and like talk about you and how great you are and how, you know, as a comic, but also like he's this incredible barbecue chef. Okay, so then what's your favorite thing to make?
Oh,
is that a bad question? Yeah.
No, it's a great question. I just never have a clear-cut answer. I really like making pork ribs because they're so consistent. They're pretty easy to make. They're not super expensive to buy. So it's just an easy thing to, like, if you were stopping by and like, hey, can I come to dinner tonight? I could probably still pull off some pork ribs by running to the grocery store and coming home and blow your socks off. But if you have time to really get into it, then a brisket or beef ribs, the big Dino Flintstones beef ribs.
I got time to get into it.
Yeah, I love those so much, man. Like that's like a real showstopper. Like, you know, if you invite someone over for dinner or for a barbecue.
Well, I feel like that's the video I think of you so much that I've probably liked 5 billion times on your feed, but of you wearing the black gloves and picking up that piece of meat, brisket, and like slicing it open, and then juices just like gushing out of the thing. You're like, oh my
God. I feel like you got the same photographer as the Burger King commercials, because it just looks so juicy and good.
Yeah, well, there's
time out. Wait, real quick. I was about to like shoehorn a joke in about how you're this amazing chef, and Johnny the whole time would be eating at your house going, fuck, I wish I was at Arby's or something.
No, I've had a lot of Daves. I've had a lot of Daves.
He did it himself and compared it to Burger King.
Man, it's almost as good as the Whopper, Dave. You should keep working at it, buddy.
I didn't even have to do it.
I'm just talking about the photography of your videos.
Johnny's over here putting Arby's sauce, horsey sauce on my fucking barbecue. Just spent 12 hours making it.
He's like on the Domino's app, hoping nobody looks. Like, I'm not.
Oh, you guys got ketchup?
Hey, I'm gonna go around to comedy clubs. Hey, you guys, where's the best Pizza Hut around here? What Pizza Hut do you guys like the best?
Hey, I get in a night early. Good and all, but could we put on some DIY shows? The Bachelor's coming on.
All right. Well, thanks, man. It's so good to see you and catch up. Do you plug all your stuff?
Yeah, where can they find you?
Well, my obscure plug is I am obsessed with water polo, so I co-host a podcast with Tony Azevedo, who's like the Michael Jordan of USA water polo. He's been to 5 Olympics, won a silver medal, and was like the one of the best USA water polo players of all time. He won the equivalent of the Heisman Trophy. That's a football thing, Johnny. He won it all 4 years he was in college at Stanford. So anyways, if you like water polo, that's the Tony Azevedo podcast with Dave Williamson. And then my barbecue podcast, which a lot of people tell me they like listening to, even if they're not into barbecue, because we just have fun conversations, is Meet Dave, MEAT Dave. And I'm most active on Instagram, which is at Dave W Comedy. And if you want to give me some feedback or support me, last year what I did is I did a 2-month barbecue tour where I toured around the country and I did comedy in barbecue restaurants. So we ate food. I brought a trailer that had my face on the side of it holding up briskets and beef ribs. And I set up I just walked into every venue and said, I'm going to put on a comedy show here. And it was a blast, right? I was on the road for 2 months doing that away from my family. This summer, July and August, I want to do a twist. I want to go do it at comedy clubs. But this company, Meats by Lynn's, out of Chicago, is going to supply the comedy clubs with 50 of the best dry-aged ribeye steaks you ever had in your life. And we're going to buy the steaks from the comedy club and sell steak dinners during the show.
But who will these steaks be prepared by the comedy club kitchen?
So
I'm a little worried about giving. It's like
I know
like
that's
giving a Picasso to the McDonald's, ball pit.
I know. That's what we're trying to figure out. So I'm open to tweaks, but that's why we're capping it at 50, and that's why I'm being very picky on which clubs I could pull it off.
Yes, some clubs probably are great.
I might have to bring in my own grill and my own chef at a lot of places, and just sit there, or an opener who knows how to cook, and then he and I switches off when the other guy's on stage. But
I just imagine like a comedy club chef getting like a pristine, dry-aged Wagyu, whatever.
Yeah, and he's
cut of beef.
I don't get paid for this shit.
These are the strangest chicken strips I've ever seen. Okay, into the fryer they
drops
go.
it in the deep fryer. I know. I haven't worked all the kinks out, but that's my plan. Is I'm going to do some sort of a steak tour July and August.
I love it. Well, look out for that. Johnny, do you have anything do you want to plug before we go?
Wise Guys in Jordan Landing and February 18th and 19th.
Hey, while you're there, ask Keith if he wants to have a steak show.
Yeah, there you go. Bring the steak show to Utah.
All right, text me before those dates to remind me.
Get it.
Okay, none of this will happen. Hey, but thank you everybody for listening. And remember, we're about to do our post-show banner on the Patreon right now. So if you want to listen to that, you gotta be a Patreon subscriber. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you guys. I love you guys.
That's it. Thanks for listening to
The Cavalry.